mitzvah through ASMR. Alright, dear, I understand you're here to pick out a Hebrew name. You need a little help with that. Well, that's what I'm here for. My name's Sharone, and I'll be helping you with picking out your Hebrew name today. Hopefully we'll find something, and if not, that's okay. These things can take a little time. You might want to think about it a little bit. Now tell me a little bit about your journey. Tell me about why you're picking out a Hebrew name. Yes. Very interesting, yes. That's actually more common than you realize. Not everyone is born with a Hebrew name or given one at a young age. A lot of people choose a Hebrew name later in life when they're really embracing their identity and their roots and their heritage. So good for you for following through with this and picking out a name. Oh, absolutely, dear. I want you to feel welcome here. There's no judgment at all. People from all different backgrounds, all different observant levels come here. So make yourself feel at home. No judgment. Now tell me, are you familiar with Hebrew names at all? Okay. So you don't have any in mind just yet. Alright, well, I have a couple lists of like some popular names that I would recommend. Some are considered traditionally more masculine, some are considered traditionally more feminine. Now, I think nowadays people are choosing any kind of name that they want. Doesn't matter what your gender is. You can really pick whatever name that you think fits you. But I do have those separate categories, so I'll show you the top names I have currently for both of those categories. How's that sound, dear? Okay, now, this might sound silly, but before we get started, I just want you to relax, okay? What I'm doing right now, I'm not touching your face, but I'm just kind of giving your face attention. I find that it can be very relaxing if someone's giving you attention and pointing at different parts of your face. I'm just waving my hands around. And I want you to take a deep breath in and breathe out. All right, let's take another deep breath in and breathe out. Okay. Now, is it okay if I just touch your face for a second? Okay. Now, part of this is that I'm helping you relax. But another part is that I'm trying to get a sense of your soul, of your identity, of these different attributes you might have, just to get a sense if there's a name that might be fitting. All right. We're just plucking away any stress you have. We don't want you stressed. This isn't a stressful thing. We want you to be relaxed and maybe even excited. It's exciting to be able to pick out a name. I would say some people are jealous that they were born into the name that their parents gave them. You get to choose a name. It's very nice. Alright, we're just gonna ignore that siren that's going off in the background. Don't worry about it. Alright, so we're gonna start with our first little list of Hebrew names. So let's go. The first one we have is Asher, and this is how you write it in Hebrew. See, you read it from right to left. Left to right for English, right to left for Hebrew. So you can see what it looks like in English and Hebrew, which I think is actually pretty important. You want to see how it's written in the native language, but also if you're going to write in English for other people to read, I think it's nice to know what it looks like visually. So Asher is a very nice name. Now, Asher was the name of one of the sons of Jacob, and he was one of the 12 tribes of Israel. And Asher, according to my research, I'm just going to pull it up. I can't remember them all of the time. Hold on, I have it right here. All right. Asher means happy or blessed in Hebrew. It's derived from Ashar, which means to be happy or blessed. So that's a very nice name, and it's not the most common, even though it was one of the 12 tribes. All right, next we've got Ezra, or Ezra. Let me pull that one up. I just think it's a very nice sounding name. I think, for some reason, I think people who have the name Ezra are always going to be handsome or good looking. Oh, that's just my editorial. All right. I had Ezra up. Oh boy, there's just too many names. Okay, Ezra means help in Hebrew, and Ezra was also a prophet of the Old Testament in the book of Ezra. So yeah, you want someone, if you're a helpful person, then maybe Ezra is a nice name for you. Or if you're a handsome person, Ezra is definitely a nice name for you. All right, let's move on to the next name. Naphtali, or Naphtali. And also I've seen Naphtali, and I've seen this spelled with an F or with a PH. So there's other options. I'm just showing you what I think is the more common spelling. And Naphtali was also one of the 12 tribes of Israel. You're going to see a common theme here with some of these masculine names. So let me pull that one up. Naphtali. And I've checked a few different sites about this, so they all are pretty similar, but sometimes they have slightly different meanings. Let's see. Alright, Naphtali can mean my struggle or my strife. It can also, it's derived from a word that means to twist, to struggle, to wrestle. You know, that seems very similar to the name Israel. Israel is about wrestling with God. This one is about wrestling, struggling. So Naphtali is also, you know, it's not too common in the Western world, I would say. So I think it's a very interesting name. I think it's quite unique. All right. Now we're moving on to Ephraim. It's not Ephraim, it's Ephraim. Ephraim. Now again, as I said, there's a theme. Not all of these names are the 12 tribes of Israel. We don't have 12 names here, but Ephraim is another one of the 12 tribes. And the name means fruitful. Ephraim is a son of Joseph, and yeah, so fruitful. So if you're looking for a very traditional name, again, more common in the Hebrew world, but if you're in the secular world, I would say Ephraim isn't a common name. So if you're looking for something unique, that might be another option as well. And finally, for our more traditionally masculine names, I would say we have Menachem. Menachem. It's not Menachem, it's Menachem. You make that sound, okay? Menachem. Now, something I think is kind of cute about Menachem, you could have a nickname. It can be Mendy. Mendy is short for Menachem, so just keep that in mind if you want a cool nickname. Now, let me pull up Menachem. Again, this is not one of the 12 tribes, but it is quite a common Hebrew name. But let me tell you something, just because it's common doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Now, according to these different sites I've looked at, Menachem means comforter. So if you're a very comforting person, if you're the friend that everyone always goes to seeking advice, if you're a therapist, then maybe Menachem is a good name for you. Alright, so those are the masculine names I wanted to show you. There's certainly others we can look into, but before we move on to the more traditionally feminine names, I want to make just some suggestions. If you're looking for a more, I would say, contemporary name, something that can be used in the secular world, people might not even know it's a Hebrew name, I would say Asher or Ezra are very good names, and I think they're just kind of hip, they're cool, especially Ezra. I guess I like that name apparently. If you're looking for a more traditional sounding name, something more Hebrew sounding, not that those aren't Hebrew, but I would say if you're looking for something traditional but unique, Naphtali or Ephraim. I know they're not quite unique because they're part of the 12 tribes of Israel, but I just think people aren't always as familiar with them. And even though Menachem isn't one of the 12 tribes, it is a very common name, so if you're looking for a very, very traditional name, I think Menachem is a good name, but you can also opt for the nickname of Mendy too. So those are the more traditionally masculine names, but again, it doesn't matter what your gender is. I'm just showing what has been traditionally been considered masculine. Now we're going to move on to the more traditionally feminine names. So let me pull that out. All right. So let's start with Aviva. Aviva? Aviva. Now, I already know, because I've known a couple of Avivas, Aviva means spring. So I think someone who's very lively, someone who's, you know, kind of a go-getter, someone who brings joy to people, Aviva is a good name. Let me just see if there's anything else I can read up on Aviva. But yeah, I'm a fan of that name. Yeah, it's just, some people go by Aviv, which means spring, but I like Aviva more. Okay, now the next one, there's actually two ways that you can pronounce this one. That's kind of another theme because of the origins of some of these names. Bat-sheva. Bat-sheva. You can also do Bat-sheba, so the B sound can also make a V sound. If you're not familiar with the Hebrew alphabet, let me just show you something, okay? You see this letter right here? That is Bet, and that can make a B sound, or it can make a V sound. That's why there's a lot of names like Bat-sheva that can also be pronounced Bat-sheba. Same with Abraham is sometimes Avraham. Abigail is sometimes Abigail. I'm trying to think. I think there's like another one that's very similar to that where it can go either way with the B or the V. Now, Bat-sheva is quite traditional and it means daughter of the oath, which makes sense because Bat can mean of or from or daughter of. That's where we get bat mitzvah from, so that makes sense for that. Yeah, very traditional name. Alright, let's move on to the next one. We've got Shoshana. Shoshana. Now let me see if I can pull up the meaning of that one. I don't know it offhand, although I'm quite a fan of the name. I think it's a nice name. Hold on, I have to go to the next page of this site. There's a few different sites you can go to. There's a Hebrew name site. Chabad has one. There's a handful. So it's just taking a minute for the page to load. I feel like, I just can't remember all these names off the top of my head. Alright, so Shoshana can mean lily or rose, which I think is quite nice. So it's a really pretty name. Alright, up next, we've got Zipporah. Zipporah. Now, sometimes people spell this with a Z. There's different ways to spell it. Sometimes there's an H at the end. This is the way I like to spell it, but again, you can spell it different ways. Essentially, in Hebrew, this letter makes a tz sound. It's not quite a Z. That's why I think the TZ makes more sense. It's kind of like when you say Ritz. That sound at the end is what that makes. So, Zipporah. And now I know offhand, just because I'm a very big bird fan, Zipporah means bird in Hebrew. And Zipporah was also the name of Moses' wife. And if you've ever seen The Prince of Egypt, I think that's a great movie, and you can see how Zipporah is portrayed in that. But I think, again, very cool name, very pretty, and I'm a fan of birds, so I would say if you've got this bird-like spirit, a free spirit, if you're someone who wants to be able to fly, not just literally, but also just, metaphorically, spiritually, I think Zipporah could be very nice. Okay. And then finally, a quite traditional name, and also falling in the tradition of Moses and the Prince of Egypt, we've got Yocheved. 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 Now, Yocheved was Moses's mom, but let's pull up to see what the actual name means. I think it's quite a holy name, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Yocheved can mean glory of God. Okay, so quite similar to the last list I had. I think if you want a really cool name that's more contemporary, I think you want to go with either Aviva or Shoshana. I think if you want a more traditional name, but one that's maybe just a little bit different, I would say Zipporah. And if you want a really, really traditional name, a beautiful traditional name, I would say Batsheva or Yocheved. Okay, so those are the more traditionally feminine names, but like I said, you can pick any you want. There's also more modern Hebrew names that have become very genderless. They can be used for any gender. I think those can be nice too. Like Gaul is kind of being used as either a feminine or masculine name. There's other names I just can't think of right now, but certainly I think you can go with either. But so here's the list again. So again, we've got Asher, Ezra, Naphtali, Ephraim, Menachem, Aviva, Batsheva, Shoshana, Zipporah, and Yocheved. Now, you don't have to go with any of these. There's many, many more Hebrew names, but since you said you weren't very familiar with them, I wanted you to get a sense of some of the names that are out there, some that are more traditional, some that, although they've been around a while, they just have a more contemporary feel to them. And so, is there anything that you're leaning towards, or any questions you have? Yes, there are some names that are named after places, like Kinneret. That's a nice name, I would say, that's not very common. Kinneret is basically what they call the Sea of Galilee. So if you like water, if you have an attachment to land like the Sea of Galilee, then I think Kinneret is a very nice name. Okay, you think you have one in mind? All right. Okay, so you're stuck between two, one on each list. Okay, so Why don't you tell me which one on this list are you thinking about? Naphtali, okay. Yeah, I think that's quite, like I said, it's a unique name. Not everyone is familiar with that name. And then on this side, so now it sounds like you're kind of stuck between two on this side, Batsheva and Shoshana. Okay, well, Naphtali is more traditional, but again, kind of unique. Batsheva is very traditional. Shoshana is a little more contemporary. So is there one you're thinking of more? Okay, you're stuck between these two. All right. All right, I'll let you think about it for a minute. I'll just hold this here. No pressure. You're thinking about Shoshana? You know, I think that makes sense because when I was, doing my exercise to get a sense of you, I felt kind of like this calm vibrancy, and Shoshana can mean lily or rose. And I don't know, there's just something about that calm vibrancy that I think you can find in a flower. A flower is full of life, it's beautiful, it's vibrant, but at the same time it stays put, it's understated, it kind of keeps to itself and does its own thing. So yeah, I could see you as a lily or a rose, so I think Shoshana is quite a nice choice there. Now, of course, I would say think about it, sleep on it. Just make sure that it's really what you want. Certainly when I was picking out my name, there were a handful of names that I was thinking about. And I was really stuck between a couple. And then out of nowhere, I picked a different name. I don't know why, but it just suddenly came to me. And it ended up being the right name. And it's a pretty common name too, which I was a little disappointed about, but it just felt like the right name for me, and I had been stuck between these other ones, so I would say even though that makes sense, that name, and you're feeling good about it, just sleep on it, and if that's what you want, then I would say go for it. And I would say if you're interested, let me just show you a service we offer. I'm just going to pull it out. So we offer these handmade necklaces. If I can get it out, all right. We've got these Hebrew necklaces, the name necklaces, if you can see here. Now as you can see, this one is an English name, but we can definitely do Hebrew names, and we can have them go horizontal or vertical. And so once you have your Hebrew name picked out, if you're interested in jewelry to honor that name, we can do that for you. That's another service that we offer. All right. Now I'm not done with you because I have one other thing, and this is just on the house free of charge. All right. Hold on a second. We've got them all tangled up. That's not good. We don't need these tangled up. That's never served anyone. All right. Now, are you familiar with the evil eye, dear? Okay, yeah. Now, the evil eye can protect you. It can ward off bad spirits, bad attitudes, bad wishes against you. Oftentimes, when things are going well for you, people are going to be jealous, and that's going to attract the evil eye. And so if you have an evil eye on you, then that can protect you from that negativity. Now, this is a traditional evil eye, but I've got a special one. This one right here, it's a little less traditional. Do you see that? It's still an eye and it has the same colors, but it just looks a little bit different, a little more refined. What do you think about that? Since picking out a Hebrew name can be a very exciting thing, you might feel very empowered and really in tune. That might make some people jealous. Don't worry about them, that's on them. Your real friends will be happy for you, but I think that since you're going through this journey, you should have an evil eye with you. And I'm gonna gift this one to you, this very pretty, not so traditional evil eye. No, dear, it's totally fine. I want to give this to you. I really feel connected with you, and I've really helped you with your journey, especially since you weren't too familiar with these Hebrew names. Okay, dear, great. I'm gonna hand this to you. Do you want me to put it on? Okay. Let me just open up the clasp. Right, and we're just gonna... Okay, great. Now, do you have any questions? Okay, dear. So like I said, go home. I'm gonna give you both of these lists for you to take home with you. I would also say just take a look on the internet, see if there's any other names that call out to you. And like I said, sleep on it. If you still feel really good about Shoshana, then I think that's a wonderful name. But I also think whatever you choose is gonna be right for you. Okay, dear? Alright, well thank you so much for coming in. Oh, you're so welcome. The necklace looks wonderful on you. And if you ever want to come back for a name or for any of the other services that I offer, please come back. Ask for Sharone because I'd love to work with you again. And take care, dear. Okay? Kisses and goodbye. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, please leave a comment, and please subscribe to my channel. As always, Toda Rabah, Lila Tov, thank you very much, and good night.